been dubbed the Holy Grail of shipwrecks. A Spanish galleon laden with 33 billion New Zealand dollars of treasure has been discovered off the coast of Colombia. The galleon, San Jose, was sunk 300 years ago by the British, and now Colombia is ramping up efforts to raise the ship and recover billions of dollars of emeralds and solid gold. The coins of solid gold lurking in the murky depths. Shipwreck expert John McChrystal is with us this morning to talk about how they might do that and how rare this is. John, thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
So first of all, that's a lot of gold. Are we sure that it's all down there?
No, we're not. The estimate of the value of the gold is based on a claim by a US company who says they found it first. And obviously in that claim, they're going to pump up the value as high as they can. And that figure of 20 billion arises from their speculation that there might be 200 tonnes gold, silver, emeralds and pearls aboard the ship.
What was 200 tonnes of gold, silver and emeralds and pearls doing, and why did the British shoot at this ship and sink it?
Yeah, so back in 1708 when this happened, the Spanish were busy raping and pillaging their colonies in South and Central America and routinely sending that back to Spain via these great big ships, the galleons, in fleets of heavily armed vessels. And that's what the San Jose was doing. She was busy carrying part of this loot back to Spain in order that she could keep fighting her war with Britain. And these British ships, obviously, were playing their part, waiting in ambush just outside Cartagena.
How deep is it and how hard is it to get to?
So she's supposed to be in 600 metres, which is very deep. Most commercial diving happens around the 100-metre mark. Can go a bit deeper, but that's not a workable depth for divers. You'd have to both visit the ship and work, if you were salvaging her, with machinery at that kind of depth.
And do you think that's likely to happen? Do you think that's likely to happen quickly? Because Colombia says the Colombian government wants this done in the next few years. Yes,
absolutely. The current Colombian president, Petro, is determined that it should happen before his term ends in 2026. That's deeply concerning because, of course, it's not only a treasure trove for people who are interested in gold, silver and pearls, etc. It's also an archaeological treasure trove. And there is no way you could perform an exhaustive archaeological survey in those depths on a debris field such as this in that period of time. So it sounds like they're going to go down there with a great big grapnel and just scoop it all off the ocean floor.
Yeah, they're going for the quick and dirty option, get the money and get out of there.
Their eyes are on the prize, I think you'd say, yes.
John, which I suppose in some ways you can't blame them, who owns it? Who owns any wreck that is discovered on the floor of the ocean? Is it the person who found it or is it the person who gets to it first?
So, look, it's a minefield. It depends very much on the age of the wreck and whether you can determine who owned both the wreck and the cargo, because they're separate things. In this case, that's simple. That's the Spanish government way back then. The finder has some rights under salvage law, but probably not in this case because it's so old. Establishing a claim against the Spanish government would be very difficult, especially in light of the fact that the Spanish government have successfully, in cases like this, where gold has been raised from very old shipwrecks, under a UNESCO accord that came out in 2001, they've been successful in claiming the entirety of the cargo as cultural artefacts under a sort of a thing called sovereign immunity. It was our ship, our cargo, and therefore it's ours regardless of where it is. But of course, other people have got claims. There's this bunch of Americans who claim to have found the ship way back in 1984, Colombian government, and then of course there are the poor old indigenous peoples of Peru and Bolivia whose slave labour ripped their own resources from their own soil and furnished this great treasure in the first place.
Yeah, and now there are competing claims for it. I mean, they haven't even got it yet, and already someone's being sued for $10 billion. John, just before we go, we've got about 45 seconds on the clock, but I want to ask really quickly, do we have any treasure troves in New Zealand waters you're aware of that could hold gold or diamonds or jewellery, something like that?
There are various small ones scattered around the place and one large one. And the large one's down in the Auckland Islands, and she's the very famous General Grant. And there have been expeditions to find her for 150 years, and quite a few in recent years, which have all proved completely in vain.
Can you not scan the ocean and see where gold is?
Not at range. If you've found a shipwreck, you can use the same kind of metal detector stuff that detectorists on TV shows use to find Roman gold hoards and that kind of thing. But they have to be very close to their target. Your best chance is using technology that finds ferrous metals like iron and steel, which can work at much greater ranges. You find the wreck, you then find the gold, but you can't find the gold itself.
Fascinating. Thanks very much for your time, John. Really appreciate it. Shipwreck expert John McChrystal with us talking about that ship that Colombia wants its hands on.